to our advanced grammar class. Before we get started, apologies for last week. We just had a lot of problems last week, technical stuff, and mostly that the internet on a lot of this area was down, so we were unable to do the live stream over the internet like we usually do, so I was having to use my cell phone and live stream over that. So some people said that there were some glitches and things like that. Well, that's why. So, but anyway, apologies for that. And as far as the grammar portion is concerned, you didn't miss anything because we did not cover grammar last week. There were too many people out, so we just basically did the Tree of Life and did a rehash of the Tree of Life. By rehash, that is, we reviewed up to where we are. We're going to take on a new portion tonight. We will not do any review tonight. Saying that, just say that if you missed last week, if you want to watch last week, it is just the Tree of Life. But if you want to watch it, it's on our YouTube channel, which is Harlingen Messianics. Harlingen Messianics. So if you missed last week, and you'd like to watch it, then it is there. As I said, we're going to take off with the Tree of Life this evening. As well, there was something else I was going to say. Yes, a lot of you praying for one another. There are just a lot of people sick. There's just something, I don't know if it's a flu or a virus or something. I know we all had it, we all went through it. Josh and Rich are down with it again. And Mom is just getting over it. Mom is just recovering. We thank God. She went to the doctor Monday and he said that she was 80%. So that's good news, especially at her age. But he told her she still had to be careful because of that 20%. So he wants her up to 99.5%. All right, so we want her back at 100%, so you continue to pray for her. Pray for Nora. She's having issues, not bad issues. She's just having nausea and things like that with the pregnancy and everything. But with the diabetes and everything like that, of course, everything is concerning. So we had a long conversation about that, and they had to leave tonight because she wasn't feeling well. So be praying for her. Pray for Margaret, of course, and death of her uncle, and she's really feeling that this week, so be much in prayer for her and send her love. Okay, so we're going to start with the Hebrew prepositions. We gave you the definition for the prepositions last week, for preposition last week, and there are different forms of preposition. So what we gave you last week is that a preposition is a connecting word to indicate a relationship between one word and another word. So it indicates a relationship. And the relationship between one word and another word, the first word is called the antecedent. And the second word is called the object. Okay? So a preposition is a connecting word that indicates a relationship between the antecedent and the object of the preposition. So let me put that up here. So, and let's say an adverbial preposition would be if I say Emilio. See how I draw you into this? Emilio, where'd he go? I can't draw Emilio, he's not here.
He ran away.
He ran. He knew I was going to use him as an example. It's like, I grew up in a preacher's home, and my sons grew up in a preacher's home. So we were constantly used as examples in sermon illustrations. And so I still use my sons as sermon illustrations. Mostly for good, every once in a while for not so. Anyway, no, always for good.
I'm always using Emilio as an example in my classes.
Okay, so then he should be used to it, right? Emilio, go to the store. Okay? So here you have a sentence. Emilio, go to the store. It's a directive. Okay? Emilio, now you would be the subject. It's understood, right? Everybody with me?
Yes.
You as the subject. Emilio, you go to the store. But we always take shortcuts. So Emilio, go to the store. So Emilio, you go. So this is the subject. You would be the subject. Go would be the verb. So the question is this, Emilio, you go. So what question if you didn't see this?
Emilio, go.
Okay, so Emilio, go. So what question then?
Where.
Where. Very good. Okay, and this is the thing about prepositions. Prepositions answer questions. Okay? Prepositions answer questions. You like that? I'll put it up here for you. Prepositions answer questions. So here, the question is, where? This is the question. Emilio, go where? To the store. So this is the prepositional phrase, to the store. The preposition is the word to. This is the preposition. So the antecedent, the word that comes before, is the word go, the verb. Okay? So this is the antecedent. This is the answer to the question. Now here, in this case, the antecedent is a verb. So a word or phrase that gives definition to a verb would be called adverb. So this is an adverbial preposition because it's defining the verb. The verb is go. Go where? To the store. Okay? This is the object. This is the object of the preposition. Store. Everybody with me?
Yes.
So this is the way a preposition works, a prepositional phrase. Okay? So this would be a preposition. We're talking about prepositional phrase. The preposition itself is a connecting word. So you see that here the preposition is what?
To.
To. Okay? So it's the connecting word between what? The antecedent go and the object store. So it's connecting the two. You see that?
Yes.
Everybody with me? Okay? So it indicates that there's a relationship between the antecedent and the object. Here it's adverbial. That is that the preposition is giving definition to the verb. Okay? Okay, so everybody got this? I'm missing my... Here it is. They love it when the teacher just disappears off the screen and he's gone. Let me find let me put it right here so there's one. All right. So we have several types of prepositions, and the first type fall under a category called simple prepositions. Simple means exactly that. They're not complicated. They're simple. Okay? Complicated prepositions would be things like a simple preposition is where you just have one preposition and if there it is, it's out there in front of you. You can actually have prepositions to prepositions. You can have phrases to phrases. I'm going to go to the store for a moment. I'm going to go to town for a little while. There you have two prepositions back to back. Two prepositional phrases back to back. So these are simple prepositions. The first one is called positional. I should have left this up. Answers the question. Preposition answers the question. So the first one is positional. The question will be positional, such as where. Okay. So prepositions that are positional: over, under, above, beneath, below. You see where we're going with this?
Where?
On, off, where? On, off, between, beside, near. Now, if you remember, and we haven't done this for 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks ago that we introduced prepositions to you. Okay, so we didn't do this last week. So just as a reminder to you, remember that there are literally over 100 prepositions. When you put all of the prepositions together, if you look up prepositions, you'll have like a whole page of words. There are all kinds. Okay? So this is just, this is not all inclusive, this is just some to show you, to give you an understanding, a relationship of what a preposition is. What a positional preposition would be. So, over the moon. Under a rock. Above the water. Beneath the water. Beneath the waves. Below. On. Off. Between. Beside. Near. Far. Anything that has to do with position. As in, that means anything that has to do with place or space. Okay? So these would be called positional prepositions. So, the grass under the tree was dead. Okay. So this is a complete sentence. What is the preposition? What is a prepositional phrase? Under, very good. This is the preposition, this is the phrase, under the tree. So you see that it's answering the question. What question is it answering? What grass? What? Okay. What grass? Or you could even where? It's positional. Where? The grass where? Under the tree. Okay? Was dead. So you have grass. This is the subject, correct? Notice that the preposition here in this sentence comes before what? Becomes, what is this called? This is called the verb. Notice that the preposition is coming before the verb. So What is this prepositional phrase defining? The grass. Okay, so remember that I said, Emilio, you go to the store. So to the store was called what? It was defining what?
Go.
Go, which is
Where?
but what part of speech was go? Go where? Yes. It's a verb. It's a verb. So we said that it was what kind of prepositional phrase?
Adverbial.
Adverbial. So this one is defining what?
A noun.
A noun. Therefore, it would make it adjectival. This is an adjective. This is an adjective. It's acting as an adjective. It's telling you about the grass. Okay? Is everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is an example of a prepositional phrase. All right. The second one is called directional. You have positional, now you have directional, which means what? It's telling you direction. Very good. Top of the class for you. So, direction. To, from, forward, backward, up, down, around, at, so these are directional. Again, this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just a sample for you. Now, we have one there that is somewhat problematic because it actually acts, it's a dual word. And it is the first one, the word to. Because here we have it in a list of directional. Go where? To the store. Okay? To can also be used in this form, to see, to hear, to speak. In this case, is this directional? No, it's a whole, it's actually a different kind of word. It's a different word. Okay? Good. So, how did this happen? Well, our word to is the German word zu. It comes from zu. Okay, zu, which is why we say it this way. We have the long U sound instead of a to. Okay, actually there is, I think I was reading that in Dutch, the word to is actually with a long O, to. But because remember, we've talked about this before, that English is a Teutonic language, it is a Germanic language, so a lot of our words come from there. And so a lot of the sounds come from there. So the word zu, to, is the reason why you say it with a long U sound, to. Okay? Like in Espanol, tú. So, about this word. This word comes from this word. This word comes from this word. These two words are related. Good. So how would it, if you smash those two words together, what do you have? Toward. This is actually what to means in this form. This is where it comes from. It is a shortened form of toward. Okay? Now, see what shortcuts we take, because most of y'all pronounced it like this. Toward. Right? Literally, it is toward, okay? Word having the idea of movement. Okay? So forward would be to go ahead. Okay? Toward would be, toward means in the direction of. To that word. Okay? So toward means in the direction of. This is where this word to comes from. It means in the direction of. So when I say, Emilio, go to the store, literally what I'm saying is, Emilio, go toward the store. Right? Go to in the direction of the store. But more succinctly, I'm wanting you to actually make it into the store, right? Or at least into the presence of the store, not just in the general direction of the store. And somewhere over there we'll find you. Okay? So when I say to, it's not just, it's more succinct, it's more direct. Not just to go toward the store, but to actually make it to that location. Okay? Everybody with me?
Yes.
So, an example. This one. The priest walked to the temple. Okay? So again, what is it doing? It's answering a question. What is the question? Where did the priest walk? To the temple. So this is your prepositional phrase. This is your subject. This is your verb. This is your prepositional phrase. This is your preposition. Notice that the preposition is what? Directional. Telling you the direction. The question is where? In what direction did the priest walk? He walked to the temple. Okay? So it's not difficult stuff. Once you start getting the hang of it, it's pretty simple. Alright, the next one is called temporal. Number 3 is called temporal. Meaning time. Having to do with time. So, before, during, after, what else? Until. Till. So you notice that all of these have to do with what? It all has to do with time. Okay, so we call it temporal. Temporal means to do with time. Okay, so you have positional, you have directional, you have temporal. These have to do with time. Go to sleep before. This is a famous line of my dad. Go to sleep before I have to come up there. My dad would tell us that we slept upstairs. And Dad would call upstairs when he heard us being rowdy at bedtime. Go to bed before I have to come up there. So before I have to come up there. Actually, that's a compound prepositional phrase. Before I have to come up there. Okay? Interesting things. So, before, during, after, until, or till. Till is a short form of until. Okay? And in fact, in old times, properly, this is a later fabrication of this. Okay? This is a later fabrication of this. Watch. So today it is common to see spelled this way, but till actually means what?
till the soil?
To turn over the soil, yes, to turn over soil, okay? The way it was spelled, the way you would spell this, meaning having to do with time, would be apostrophe T-I-L. Why? What's the apostrophe telling you? That you left something out, okay? What did you leave out? That is missing, okay? So when you see old poems and things like that from the early 20th century and back into the 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, such as that, you will often see it written this way, with an apostrophe. Okay? But what? We take shortcuts, we get lazy, we drop the apostrophe. Well, that doesn't look right, so you add an L. So now we have till. Okay? But till actually means to turn over the soil. So it's no wonder that people say that English is one of the most confusing languages in the world. Okay, people who don't know English and they're trying to learn how to speak English, do you mean till or do you mean till? Do you mean two or do you mean two or do you mean two? Oh, and by the way, there are two twos. What do you do with it?
Till.
So, the elders prayed after the service. Okay, so subject, verb, prepositional phrase after the service. Notice it's telling you it is answering the question of when. Here it's answering the question, it answers the question of when, having to do with time. When did they pray? After the service. This is your preposition. After is the preposition, after the service is the phrase. And the final one is called causal. Causal as in cause and effect. Okay? So this one will basically answer the question of what. So here you have of, for, from, what else? With, about. The two most common prepositions are to and of. These are the two most common. One dealing with direction and one dealing with cause and effect. So, he lifted the cup of wine. He lifted the cup of wine. Notice where your preposition comes here in this statement, in this sentence. Okay? So, subject is he. This is your subject. Verb, lifted. What is this? Anybody remember this part of speech? The cup The direct object.
Okay.
What did he lift? The cup. Okay? So remember that the direct object is the recipient of the action. Okay? So it answers, what did he lift? He lifted what? The cup. It receives the action. Now here's your prepositional phrase of one. Saying what? What is the question being asked? Answers the question, the cup of what? What cup? The cup of what? Yes. Okay? So of here is the preposition. He, subject, lifted, verb, the cup, direct object of one, prepositional phrase. Here, what kind of prepositional phrase is this? Adjective. Why? It's describing the cup. Okay? We're going to stop there for tonight. Next week we're going to go over. We're going to actually start Hebrew prepositions next week. Okay? The good thing is this, and the reason why we went over this, because people would say, well, why are you giving me all this English stuff? I'm trying to learn Hebrew. And the answer to that would be, they do the same thing. The Hebrew preposition is going to do the same thing as the English preposition. So we give it to you in English so you understand what it's doing, correct? Everybody with me? Yes. We give it to you in English so you understand what it's doing, then we can transfer that over into Hebrew. Now when we transfer it over to Hebrew, it's not going to be exactly exact. Why? Well, because it's Hebrew, it's not English. Okay? So there's going to be some differences. For example, in English, every preposition is its own word. In Hebrew, a preposition can be a prefix, or it can be its own word, or it can be combined in two or more prepositions, and so there are some interesting things there. Okay? So we're going to start discussing that next week, and that's where we get into the simple versus the compound. Compound preposition is where you have more than one. Okay? An independent preposition. In Hebrew, you have independent prepositions, and you have, what are they called? Tied prepositions. You have prepositions that are inseparable. Okay? They're chained. Meaning what? You can't take them off. So an independent preposition is a preposition that stands by itself, like these words here. They can all stand by themselves. They're their own word. Okay? An independent preposition in Hebrew would be this word here, the word mean, which is one of the most common prepositions. What is interesting about this preposition here is that it can stand alone, or it can go in as a prefix. From. Okay, it actually has several meanings, just like of and all those. Okay, so it's going to have several meanings. One common prefix preposition, a prefix preposition, is where you see. Is that the word? Is that right? All right, that's my what do you call it?
Okay, you're stuck.
There is a cursive Hebrew. Okay. So here, I'll do this better. That's what happens when you're in a hurry. All right. So when you see this right there, the lamed with the patach mark under it, that is a prefix. That's okay. That is a prepositional prefix. Are you okay? You didn't hurt your funny bone or anything? I like it when people hurt their funny bone and then they're like, how come we call it a funny bone? Because it doesn't
It's not funny.
No, it's not. All right. So So the lamed is a prefix, and it would look like this in a transliteration. It would be an L with an apostrophe, and then you have the word. Okay? This can mean to, of, for. Okay? So we'll be getting into that kind of cool stuff next week. So let's take 5, and we'll get into the trivialized.